Hello and welcome to Blossom Sandwich Sews. My name is Yvette and today is a super exciting video because I'm bringing you a collab that I've been doing with Michelle from Michelle Sews Again. So if you're not aware, Michelle is currently running a challenge throughout the whole month of September called Sew Purple to End ALZ, which is the hashtag as well. So I'll put that along the bottom of the screen. So the challenge is something that Michelle created last year in memory of her father to raise awareness about Alzheimer's and also to raise a little bit of money as well, and also have a fun challenge for the sewing community to engage with. So you can join in as well. So I think all the rules are just to sew something purple. It doesn't have to be a garment. And share it to your Instagram, tagging at The Real Michelle Sews Again and using the Sew Purple to End ALZ22 hashtag to enter. And I think there are prizes as well. Anyway, I'll link you to Michelle's introduction video to get the full details if you need them. Probably you will already know all the details, so I won't go on about it for too long. And I will get on to telling you about what I've made. So for this day of the collab, because Michelle's doing a collab basically every day throughout September, which is just incredible.
If you haven't already seen yesterday's video with Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room, you can pop along and watch that video after this one. And tomorrow you've got Sheree Thomas to look forward to with a Seamwork Almada robe. So there's loads of great videos coming up and already published throughout this month. So yeah, definitely check out the Sew Purple to End ALZ hashtag on YouTube as well as on Instagram to see the entries and all the vlogs as well.
Michelle and I are both making True Bias Shelby dresses. So I'm really excited to see Michelle's. I haven't seen her finished one yet, so that is going to be so exciting. But before I tell you about my Shelby dress, I'm going to just show you my other two options of purple fabrics that I already had and what I would have made with those. So the first one is this lilac fabric. It's a cotton twill, so it's got a little bit of the sort of diagonal texture, and it's got these cute little blob characters on. So this is an dead stock fabric that was actually used for an H&M kids range, and I bought this from Pigeon Wishes. So they're a fabric wholesaler, but they also sell some fabrics directly from their shop online. So I bought this directly from them and I think it's just so fun and cute. So I'm thinking of making the Waves and Wild Heyday dungarees with this, which is definite toddler chic. And so that was one thing that I could have made. And then the other option is this viscose fabric from Rainbow Fabrics. So it's got a sort of dark purpley navy background and then these little purple flowers on it, which is very cute. But then it's also got this really stunning border print along the bottom. And I've had this for a little while, but I wasn't quite sure what to make with it. But now I'm thinking of making the Nina Lee Carmel jumpsuit because it's got really wide legs. So I think that would be really good to show off the border print. So that's what I'll probably do with this fabric. I'm in the UK, so the weather has just like suddenly gone really rainy and horrible, so I might not get round to it until next summer now. But yeah, these were my other options, but then I decided to use this amazing shiny fabric to make the True Bias Shelby dress. So this fabric was also from Rainbow Fabrics Kilburn actually, and the Shelby dress is a pattern by True Bias, so it's a V-neck princess seamed like tea dress, and there's loads of different versions that come with the pattern. So you can have a mini dress version, a midi dress, or like a mini or midi romper as well, so the legs are like shorts. I decided not to go romper because firstly I didn't have that much fabric, and secondly I'm not the biggest fan of an all-in-one because it's kind of a hassle to go to the bathroom. So I went for the mini length of the Shelby dress, and but I've not made this pattern before. Oh, also I should say about sizing, one of the things that appealed to me about the Shelby dress is that they've recently expanded the size range. So I've had the pattern for a while, but now I feel like more motivated to make it because it's open to more other people to make it because of the size range being expanded. So I'll put a picture on the screen of the measurements for the new size range. I think it comes in 2 brackets, and I made the size 14 for my version, but because I haven't made it before, this pattern, I decided to do a toile first. So I have got some pictures, some kind of rough pictures of my toiles at different stages, so I'll put them in if you're interested to see more of the process. Obviously you can skip ahead if you just want to wait till the end for the full reveal. So my first toile was, it was okay, like it fit on me, but the there was kind of a lot of bagging like at the back, and I thought it might be because the skirt was like too tight, like over my butt and hips, because I am aware that I am quite large in the butt. I've done some full seat adjustments on trousers and things that I've made previously, so that is something that I've done before. So what I did for that was I cut, so the Shelby dress is in panels, so there's like 2 side panels, a set and a center panel for the back of the dress. So I cut along like the waist of the panel and then like rotated it around to create more space, just like kind of in the skirt part of the center back. So I'll show you what the pattern piece looks like after I changed it. Where did I put it? I got it ready, here we go. So yeah, I've just added this additional wedge in here. So this is sort of where the waist is. So I added that in, and then I made another toile. So I just unpicked the side backs and sewed the new centre back on, so I didn't have to like remake the whole thing, and I was just using sort of old scraps of fabric and old bed sheets and stuff. So I tried that, and then the toile definitely looked better with that adjustment. So I tried to do one adjustment at a time, and then you can see if it's actually helped or not, and it did look better, but I still had some of that bagging in the back. So another thing that I was thinking about, because with sewing you kind of get to know your own body more with like, you know, doing toiles and testing things out. So another thing is that I'm quite short in the torso. For some things it works out fine, but for other things that you do need to make adjustments. So I ended up taking, I think it was 2 inches out of the waist. So what I did was just, there's a length and shorten line on the pattern, and on all of the pieces I just folded them up by 2 inches. So I just drew a line from the length and shorten line and then just folded it up to there, and I've taped it down with some masking tape, so it is reversible if I wanted to reverse it, but I mean I'm not going to grow, am I? So yeah, so then I did that, and I didn't make a whole new toile for this. I just sort of like quick and dirty like folded it up as I've done on the pattern pieces, but on the actual toile, and stitched it down, and that really seemed to help get rid of that last bit of bagging in the back. So then I moved on to the shoulders, because I thought the shoulders were too wide, and I spent a lot of time adjusting the shoulders and then adjusting the sleeve head to match. But then I think I just made it worse. I don't think there actually was an issue with the trousers, so that's something that you do need to, or that I need to be careful of when I'm doing toiles. I can get quite into it, and then I end up like over-fitting things. So with the new shoulder, so I moved the shoulder seam back, but when I raised my arm, it would like pull the hem up by loads, and where it's already a mini dress, I was a bit like, oh, don't really want that. So I ended up sacking off that whole adjustment, like because I'd done it with masking tape and I hadn't chopped any bits off, it was kind of reversible, but I was a bit frustrated that I put that work in and then it hadn't worked out for me. So yeah, the only other adjustment that I did do was a full bicep adjustment, because I just prefer my sleeves to have a little more room, and I do have fairly meaty arms. So in summary, all the adjustments I made were full seat adjustment up the centre back. I took 2 inches out of the length around the waist, which probably was the main adjustment that made the most difference, and I just added an inch full bicep adjustment to the sleeves. So onto the sewing process. How did I find the construction of this dress? So I found the instructions were very good. I think this is my second True Bias pattern that I've made, because I also made the True Bias Danny pants, which I've got a video about actually, so I'll put in a link to that. Yeah, so the instructions were very good, and the construction itself is quite simple. So yeah, I didn't struggle with actually making it. I did want to put time into the toile, so that's why it kind of took me a long time to make it. Yeah, so it came together quite well. The fabric is very shiny, and it's probably the most slippery fabric that I've worked with. So I was a bit nervous, like, oh, this is going to be an absolute nightmare to sew. But actually it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So my message to you is, if you've got something that, like a fabric that's making you nervous, just go for it. It might not even be as bad as you think. So my tips for sewing with a slippery fabric were to use pins, because I usually use Wonder Clips, and they just weren't holding it. It was just shifting too much. So I was using the clips and pins actually for quite a lot of it, and that seemed to help. And then another thing that I was nervous about was doing buttonholes on this fabric, partially because of the slipperiness of the fabric, and also because I've got a new sewing machine and I've never done buttonholes on it before, and this pattern, it buttons all the way up the whole front of the dress. So I was like, you know, I can't afford to mess these buttonholes up, because they're like a key feature of this design. And I also had these most perfect buttons from Pigeon Wishes. I'll stand up so I can show you them. So they really blend in well with the orange stars on this fabric. So I've got them, you know, all the way down. I'll put in a nice picture so you can properly see them. But yeah, so I was like, this is a perfect match. I can't afford to waste it, because I bought these buttons for these fabrics, and then I've been sort of umming and ahhing about the Shelby, like chickening out whether to do all these buttonholes, or if I can be bothered to fit it, you know, all the stuff that goes through your head. So I'm really glad that I actually committed to this collab with Michelle, and I committed to doing the Shelby dress, because the Friday Pattern Company Adrianna dress was my alternative if the Shelby 12 didn't work out. But then obviously I wouldn't be able to use my buttons, and they were like such a perfect match. So yeah, I'm really glad that the Shelby dress has worked out. So the buttonholes, actually they went fine on my machine. Like, I've got a one-step buttonhole now. So the buttonhole works by, you put the button in the back, and then it just makes the buttonhole the right size. And yeah, I did have to use a round button of the same size, because where these are star-shaped buttons, they sort of wouldn't really go in the thing well, because they're not like the same size all the way around because of the angles of the star. But yeah, that worked fine. I think the buttonholes are probably bigger than I would have made them on my 4-step manual buttonhole on my old machine, but I used to have to measure the button and then like add a couple of millimeters, and then I feel like I often made the buttonholes just a tiny bit too small. Like, you could get the button through, but it was a bit it wasn't quite comfortable. So I'm happy with how the buttonholes turned out. I might put in a picture of the buttonholes. I'm not going to unbutton it and show you, because that seems a bit gratuitous. But yeah, really pleased with how the buttonholes went, and generally pleased with how the whole process went, apart from the hem. The hem was a disaster. I think because of the slippery fabric, I maybe hadn't cut it out quite accurately. And so when I tried it on, and the only thing that left to do was hemming, it was quite uneven in places. So I put the dress on, and I asked my husband to help me, you know, by measuring on the bit of the hem that was shortest, measure from that bit to the ground, and then put a pin in all the way around at the same height, which sounded like a good plan. And I don't really know what went wrong, but it just was a disaster. Like, it made the skirt so short. I don't know whether it was just because the bit of the skirt that was the shortest was too short, but then it ended up so short in the back, like I would not have been able to wear it. It would have been like properly indecent. So yeah, that was a bit stressful, especially because I was so close to finishing. So I was like, you know, all I need to do is just trim this off, hem it up, done. And then that happened, and I was like, oh my god, is this even going to be wearable? Like, I thought about whether to make it into like a blouse, but then I didn't really know like what bottoms I'd wear it with, and it looked like it would be a kind of a weird blouse, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So I was kind of stressed about that, had a bit of a venting to my sewing friends. But yeah, so then I decided, because I thought about adding like a ruffle or a gathered tier, but then I was like, it's not really the style of the Shelby. It's kind of quite a sort of sleek look, and I thought making it fussy would ruin it. So what I decided to do was cut out just like an extra, I think it's about 3 inches, because that's how much it was short by, of fabric, in like the shape of each panel. So it would have a seam for each panel, and it would follow the lines of the panels, so that it would hopefully hang similarly to how it would hang if I hadn't had to add a bit on. So I did that and then hemmed it, and that worked quite well. I'll try and show you what the hem looks like. It is not perfect, but at least my butt's not out. So I'll show you what that looks like, and the solution that I came up with for this issue. So I think you're at my hem height now, so you can see how shiny and swishy this fabric is. So there's a seam here where I've added that additional bit on, and you can see I've done the panels, so I've got a seam there. So it kind of matches up. It's better on some of the joins than others, and then it doesn't quite line up here at the front where it meets, but I think from a distance it's fine. So it kind of comes in just above my knees, which works for me, and then sort of similar around the back. So I think it's leveler than it was before. It's not perfect. I think it does dip a bit in places, but yeah, I mean, it still moves nicely, and I don't think that seam is like super noticeable. So I am pleased with that as a solution. So I think I've rambled on about the process long enough. So I'm going to step back and reveal the full reveal of the dress without my head, because I couldn't fit it in the shot, but I will put in pictures as well. So this is the dress, and it's not really like my usual style, but I think it's really cute. My husband calls this wizard fabric because of all the little moons and stars. But yeah, let me know what you think, and let me know as well if you've made a Shelby dress and how you find it. This fabric is smooth and drapey, but also a little bit weighty, like more weighty than a viscose challis or something would be. So yeah, it hangs really nicely, I think. I'm really pleased with it. And then it's got a little waist tie in the back, and that comes in between the two. So these are the side panels, and this is the centre back, and then you've got a little waist tie there, so you can adjust that to however loose or tight you want it, and that just brings the waist in from the front, so you can sort of see the difference that it makes there. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So I thought I'd sit back down to bring you the final sum up of this video, because I think it's a bit awkward when I'm kind of crouching there to try and get my head in the shot. But yeah, I'm really pleased with my Shelby dress, and I'm very grateful to Michelle for inviting me to be part of this collaboration, because I don't know that I would have got this dress sewn up. I certainly wouldn't have it sewn up by this stage anyway. It is one of my Make 9 projects, which my Make 9 is not going very well. I haven't finished them all. So yeah, I will maybe do another video about how my Make 9's going, maybe in a couple of months, to see if I can actually do any more. But yeah, do go out and do go and check out Michelle Sews Again channel, and especially her Shelby dress video, because that is what I am off to watch right now. And yeah, if you've got any purple fabrics that have been sitting around in your stash waiting for you to sew up, do sew them up this month, because you could win a great prize and raise money for Alzheimer's charity as well. And it would just be so inspiring to see what ideas you've got, because everyone comes up with something different and it's so exciting. So yeah, let me know what you think of the Shelby dress, and also if you enjoyed this style of video where I talk you through the entire process of making something. I can't see myself bringing you any sew-alongs, because when I'm in the sewing process, I'm not very personable, let's say. I'm usually in my PJs, sweating, swearing. Don't think you want to see that. But yeah, this, you know, going over what I've done, I'm really happy to bring you that sort of stuff if that's interesting to you. Or if you want to do a collab, I need the motivation. So yeah, just drop into my DMs. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and enjoy the rest of Michelle's purple videos. I am so excited for the rest of this month, and yeah, happy sewing everyone, and I'll see you around. Bye.